Welcome to the Coffee and Questions podcast. I am your host, Michelle Berman-Michael, and my mission with this podcast is simple: to help realtors and loan officers across the world tap into the value Instagram can have for them and their business. To me, organic business that comes to us is the name of the game. On this show, you're going to hear from myself, other experts across social media, and also others that are just like you, selling real estate and doing loans and doing it at a high level on social media. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Questions, the podcast. I am very, very excited about today's episode because this is a very unique take on Instagram, and I get to interview Amy Chorew. I am so excited to have her. She is a realtor with Better Homes and Gardens. She is a national speaker traveling the real estate circuit, speaking at all of the biggest and best conferences across the country. And she is the owner of Curated Learning. So Amy, thanks so much for being here and being a part of this. One of the things that I think is really important to chat about is because you do travel and you do go to a lot of these conferences. Just kind of, if you could, what's the temperature about social media? Like what are people saying? What's being spoken about at some of these conferences, and specifically Instagram? Where do you feel like people's heads are at when it comes to it?
You know, it's funny. I see history repeating itself with social media. People get thrown all different ideas on things they're supposed to do. And basically realtors, including myself, were busy with the day-to-day, all the anguish and the craziness of the real estate transaction. So to find time to do all of this stuff that we're told to do is mind-boggling. What I'm finding now is when there's classes on how to, people don't want to go. What they want to learn about, how can I be my authentic self, put content out there that pulls the right people to me, and where's my client? And more our clients are on Instagram. So there's a renewed interest in doing videos and putting content out there that people can say, hey, I like her, I like him, I want to work with them. So I'm hearing a lot of that, more of how to get people connected with you. So it's kind of a different perspective.
Well, I love it. And what you said is really interesting to me because I think the premise of like a lot of social media coaches and people that are out there is they're kind of preaching this how-to methodology, right? Everybody wants to learn how to post a reel, or how am I supposed to send a DM message to make people want to buy from me, or how do I post content that doesn't fall on deaf ears, or how do I record a video with the fancy subtitles? And a lot of it is kind of centered around this how-to movement, I guess we'll call it that. But the reality is what you just said is that it's really not about that anymore. And I think a lot of this has changed to, it's less about how do I do something and more about why am I doing something. Let's talk about your content if you want to a little bit, because I love, there's so much growth that's happened even just for you since you and I have met as far as what you're doing on Instagram. But talk to me a little bit about your content strategy, kind of the stories that you pose in your content. And I guess the third question or third part of that is, how do you feel when you're producing authentic content?
So a couple of things. I am definitely on a growth spurt with Instagram. And in speaking to you, I've already implemented some of the things you shared with me, which I'll talk about in a second. But the first thing that I started doing is making sure I had social objects out there. As I'm reinventing myself with my real estate and with my new company, I've only been out here for about a year. I started just creating what I call social objects. What are things that I love that I can connect with people? It could be real serious things. It could be really fun things. So I'm constantly posting content about things that whenever I meet people in person, they always comment, whether they like or comment on my post. The overwhelming amount of people who will DM me, or when they see me in person, go, oh my God, I love that you posted that. That encouraged me. They're connecting with those things. So for me, it's being a girl boss. It's being a farmer, which is kind of unique because I am a city girl from New York and we don't normally farm. So most people who know me personally think it's hysterical. Showing my family and showing the things that I love to do, like biking and things like that. So that was the first thing. Next, started getting bold about sharing ideas. I've always told my friends that if you have something that you talk about over and over, you should always write a blog post, right? And if someone says, how do you work with me as a buyer's agent? Send them a link to your blog so they go back to your website. Now I'm thinking, why can't I do that same thing with my Instagram videos? So I'm redoing some of the blog posts, what's it like living and working and playing in Central Connecticut? What happens when you work with me as a realtor, and also with my learning company. So I've been starting to do videos, real short form videos. And even just with playing that, I've already gotten some clients. So it's pretty cool.
I love
I
it.
have more, but did you ask me anything else?
No, I
before
love it so much. Social, I wrote two things down. I wrote social objects because I think this is really a powerful phrase that we can use to kind of describe the process of creating authentic content. And then secondly, I love what you said so much. Start getting bold about sharing ideas. And so I think I want to tie this into asking for business when it's appropriate. This is something that I say to a lot of people in our network, right? Our core students, our clients, is that sometimes you have to go in for the ask, and that's okay. So I want to talk to you about how you have leveraged getting business off the platform. So talk to me about your transition period of how you go from we're having just an authentic conversation to I'm now going in for the ask.
I'm starting to do short form videos that is content that I'm passionate about. My real estate, I'm just starting to build because I'm having business. My speaking business is where I've seen the most results right now. Ideas that I talk to clients about all the time, and I go, wow, that's something I should share with other people. As soon as I have that idea, what I'm doing is I go in and open up Zoom and I record, just kind of record the idea. And then I transcribe what I said into a script. And then I record it again, sometimes in Zoom, but other times I'm putting it in Camtasia, which is a higher quality video. And then I do some like bottom thirds and stuff. But I literally go through that process. So I have my script, and then I can speak in a short amount of time and get the point across. So the first one I did was about onboarding. I have a two-part. How do you onboard your sales associates? And if you don't do a good job, you've missed the mark. You missed an opportunity. From that first video, I got 2 business opportunities. One I'm actually working on right now. The other one, we'll see. Sometimes we don't always want to work with certain people. I'm going to decide if it's a client I want, but 2 from one video.
I love it. And I think there's some organic boldness, even in just the topics that you're talking about, right? And kind of bringing up some specific things that you do that is very unique to you, that kind of positions you in a, well, nobody else is talking about this kind of thing. So I think that you've done a really good job at just embracing the platform. And I think that I have a very poignant question for you, because there are a lot of people who, and we actually met some at the conference that we were at together a couple weeks ago, people who want to break into the speaking circuit, but they're not doing things that they need to be doing personally, and they're not putting content out there in order to kind of create that lure, if you will, or even make it known that that person's available to do those things. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I want to get my first speaking gig, Amy, what would you say to that person?
First thing is proof of concept. And the other term I wanted to throw out is social proof. For speaking, I would approach it a little different. I would speak locally, someplace that you can drive in your car, talk to your association. If you belong to a real estate group like Women's Council or other groups that are around, ask if you can speak there and let people evaluate you and have someone video and make sure that you do a really good job. Never go on to the big stage until you're comfortable that you're going to deliver something that has platform skills and the idea is concise. So start with your circle and then go wider, if you want to drive 3 hours. And then when you've gotten a dozen events, I know that sounds like a lot, or maybe a little less under your belt, then find out how to apply for all the others or get someone to refer you.
You've really taught me that too, because I have a very, very unique proposal, if you will, for people who I speak for, just because of my place in the marketplace, I think. and even just how I deliver things. But one of the things that I can ask you, which was a question that I had many years, I would say maybe even 2 years ago, not so much now, but initially, you made the comment, just get in your car and go an hour away or go somewhere nearby, somewhere locally. But I think part of the problem for those people who are new to the speaking circuit is, how do you even pitch that, right? How do you just walk into the Women's Council meeting at the end of the night and be, or whatever time it is, just show up and be like, hey guys, I would like to speak for you. So I think if you can tie this into how we then post or talk about it on Instagram, I think that would be a unique tie-in here.
You have to get social proof. You have to get credibility. Just like you create your value prop for your business that you articulate to buyers or sellers, whoever you're working with. What is the value proposition of your topic that you're going to bring to market? You have to be passionate about it. Once you have an idea, either get somebody who knows you to refer you to a local group, or be a vital member of that group. And you know what? The first time I just called my local MLS and said, I have a topic that I think would be really beneficial for the group. And they let me speak to a group of 20, 30 people. All of a sudden, I was speaking all over that state where I live.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go follow my guests on social media. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please consider leaving us a review wherever you consume this content.